Hello everybody and welcome to the 7th edition of Joshua's Coding Hub. Today I'll be taking you through lists. Lists are a very important aspect of Python, and as we approach our more advanced and harder topics, we will be needing lists more. So I thought I'd introduce lists to you, so when we get to those advanced and harder topics, it will be much easier for me to explain. So without any further ado, let's get started with today's session. Before I start with today's video, like normal, I'll show you the preview. So firstly, I would like to briefly state the similarities between lists and string functions, linking to what we learned in our last tutorial. Then I would like to explain more about what lists are, why are they used, and I would show you some examples of lists and how to use lists. And then I would recap for today's class, and then I will tell you a little bit about what we're doing in the next class. So let's get started. So first of all, let's go to our Joshua Python file on desktop. And then let's make a new folder. Let's make a new folder. Let's name this folder the date. So for me, the date is 16th Feb 2023. And then let's create a file called list. List.py. Say yes. And then right click here and say open with Notepad. Okay. So first of all, I'm gonna tell you the differences between a list and a string. So there's really one big difference I will talk about today, which is lists are lists and strings. They are both things that hold values. But they're not variables, but they hold their values. So lists can hold any type of value. So really the thing that lists and strings can do is that they can hold any type of value, except for strings strings can't hold integers, of course. However, lists can, which is different. So, for example, that can be a list. That can be a string. So there are differences between the two, and there are similarities. So now what was next on our list was, what are lists? So like I just briefly stated, lists are used to store information. But what they're useful for is that lists can store more information than strings. And lists can store many amounts of information, which is useful in the future. Let me give you an example. Um, hmm, list one equals list one. I'm gonna do the series. I'm gonna do some boys in a class. So I'm gonna put down some boy names. So these are the boys in the class. And let's say these are the boys in a list. They are names of some boys in a class, and they're all stored in a list. Now, what happens if I print class? So wait, before I move on to that, I'd just like to show you, this is how a list is formatted. A list has to be stored by a variable. It's kind of like input, if you watch my video on input. Input it can only take the value and store it if you store it in a variable. This is the same thing with lists. You have to set a variable to lists, or else the values of the list is lost. So class is now a list. So if we do the print type, which I taught you in one of my previous classes, it would say class as a list. So let's open command prompt and see what it shows. There you are, command prompt. Right click here, copy address as a text. Let's go to command prompt, paste it here, CLS, class as list. However, I needed to take out one of the S's of the class because class is actually a keyword in Python, and if you watch my video on variables, you would know that keywords aren't allowed to be variable names. So, okay, we got a list. That's good. But what is the purpose of a list? So basically lists, as I said, lists are used to store used to store values. But how can lists be used in real programs? So when you want to, let's say, get more than one piece of information, you can always go to a list. So let's create a new list and name it fruit. So we'll put a list of fruits. So let's say kiwi, orange, apple, and banana. Now let's say 2 classes ago, the class before last class, I talked about while loops. So you needed to watch my while loops video to understand what I'm about to do. But before we go to the while loop part, do any of you remember from last class, the strings? I used the len function. That's what I'm going to use now. I'm going to set a variable of length equals len of fruits. The way I can take the len of a string, I can also take the len of a list. So for those who don't know what len is, I will explain. So this is very similar to the case of a string. Every single value of a list holds an index number, which is used to identify the value of a list. So the QE value holds index number 0, as all of the index values start from 0, and it goes in the order that you put it in. So then orange would be 1, apple would be 2, and banana would be 3. Remember, I'm commenting this, and when I comment something, Python interpreter looks over the comment and does not read the comment. So index numbers are important, and they are used for references for lists to get specific values out and print specific values of the list, which I'm going to do now. So I'm going to try and make a shopping list. So while So I need to set another value of I, which is index, stands for index in the programming world. But it's not an actual keyword, it's just a variable that programmers like to use. And we say that I equals index in the programming language. So I equals 0. So it starts off as the index number 0. So while I is less than or equal to length. So in this case right now, it's saying while 0 is less than or equal to 3. So is 0 less than or equal to 3? Yes. Print on Joshua's shopping list is so basically what's happening here is that is 0 less than or equal to 3? Correct. Yes, 0 is less than or equal to 3. Print on Joshua's shopping list is fruit. So it's going to go back to the variable, the list of fruits, 0. So this is something that we did for strings. The 0 is referencing to the QE index, the QE value. So from 0 to I. So whatever values that fall in between 0 and I. So in this case, between 0 and I, 0 and 0 would be QE. So it'd say print, so it'd say all jobs for a shopping list is QE. And then on the next line, I'll put I equals I plus 1, or the infinite loop error will come, where the program is never ending. So here 0 plus 0 equal I equals 0 plus 1, which is 1. So is 1 less than or equal to length? Correct. On Joshua's shopping list is 0I. So from the 0th value to the first value, which is orange, on Joshua's shopping list is orange. But there's one problem with this. When I say 0 to 1 or 0 to 2, eventually it will start printing more than one value. So instead of putting 0 to colon, I will just put I, referencing to the one index number that I want. So let's see how this program runs. List index out of range. So forget this. Forget what it says here, because that error is supposed to come. On Joshua's shopping list is kiwi, Joshua's shopping list is orange, Joshua's shopping list is apple, Joshua's shopping list is banana. Okay, so if you don't want this to come, I will use a function that you shouldn't use yet. But now, okay. Never mind, I won't use this function. So basically the reason it's giving us an error is because 0 plus 1 is 1, 1 plus 1 is 2, 2 plus 1 is 3. So when it says 3, is 3 less than or equal to length? Yes. So 3 plus 1 is 4. Is 4 less than or equal to 3? No. So then you will end the loop there. But fruit I3, you have to remember that you always take one value behind the actual index number. So when it gets to 4, then it will mean that it's out of range, meaning that's why it's giving us this error out of range. So let me see if we can fix this error. I think I just need to do this. Should work. Ah, that's what I had to do. If I put the equal sign, then it will make the loop run for one more time. But I stopped the loop there, so it wouldn't have to give us that error. So now our thing is working. And now I would like to improve this. Why should we so to make my improved version, I'll make an improved version in the next class. So remember to save this file. Before I go, I remember if you watch my video on string functions, you would know that I used a website W3 School. I'm going to show you the website for W3 Schools again here. These are all of the list methods, list functions that you can use. You can try all of them. Remember, you can just click on this one to see what it does. You can read a little bit about it, about the function. I will be using this function in the next class, append. And you can take a read of all of these functions. If you don't understand what a function is, place it in the comments. I'll try and return back to you, explaining what it is. Or if you really want to get in touch with me, if you click on my profile picture, you can see my Gmail address, so you can email me. Okay, so before I go, I'd just like to brief what we're doing in the next class. So briefly for next class, in our next class, I'm going to be talking about list built-in functions. I talked about lists, now I'm going to talk about list built-in functions. So append, so all of the W3 Schools things that I showed you just then, we're going to be trying all of them out in the next class. I'm going to be showing you how to do some cool programs with them, especially the append, which is my personal favorite. So just before I go, I'd just like to give a kind reminder, please like and subscribe. Please like this video, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next tutorial. Thank you for listening. Bye.